let's start with the papacy pope, right? The pope is the bishop of Rome, and the leader of the Western Church, or the Roman Catholic Church, okay? And the pope increases his power in the church during the Middle Ages. So the pope becomes very important in the church. And in fact, there's tensions between the pope and church officials and political officials like kings. And these reach ahead with Pope Boniface VIII, I believe, who issues the Unum Sanctum, and this is sort of all this background, but basically Boniface says that the Pope has ultimate authority over both the spiritual sphere and the political sphere as well. But many kings begin to reject that, and much of the history of this course is about political authorities rebelling against religious authorities and asserting their own independence from those religious authorities. Right? The whole Protestant Reformation we can describe as a political rebellion against religious controls in Rome. So, Pope is obviously an important development. Church art and architecture. The church is the center of art during the Middle Ages. So most art is appearing in the church, and it's financed by the church. Therefore, most art is religious in nature, in subject matter, and it's designed for religious devotion. The art of the Middle Ages is designed to inspire religious feelings and, the spiritual devotion. So often you'll see altar pieces, or you'll see small images of saints that are designed to provoke prayer or meditation. Also, the art of the Middle Ages is not focused on reality. It's not trying to be realistic. But as I noted before, it's trying to create a prayerful mindset. And so often you would see, these shimmering golds as backgrounds. You'll see Christ or Mary appear otherworldly, not looking very realistically. So we looked at some of those images. You'll see halos and things like that as well. The architecture of the Middle Ages was dominated also by churches, the construction of large Gothic cathedrals. These church cathedrals, or these church buildings, often featured height where they were trying to be very tall. And the reason why was because the person going into these churches was supposed to be awed and look upwards towards heaven. And so these Gothic cathedrals had large spires that went very high into the air. These Gothic cathedrals also had vaulted ceilings. These vaulted ceilings had used rib arches or pointed arches like that to come together basically at some point, kind of like this. Sorry. Does that kind of look like, you see what
it
I'm...
looks like one of those hats from the circus.
Actually,
it's a trying to make a hallway.
Yes, that's what I was trying to do. So basically, this is a flat ceiling, right? This is a flat ceiling. So a vaulted ceiling would be if we had one rib coming from this wall going in the middle, another one coming from this wall going in the middle, another one coming from that wall and that wall going to the middle. So we'd have a vault, right? The ceiling wouldn't be flat, but it would be vaulted. Each of those arches is sort of a pointed arch coming together to create this vaulted ceiling. So it goes as high as possible. Also, characteristic of architecture during the Middle Ages, we have stained glass windows in churches. So stained glass windows depict religious imagery. And the stained glass windows are made possible because of thin church walls. Thin church walls are made possible because of flying buttresses, these sort of exterior supports that are built up that support the church walls. So this is our church, and on the inside we've got these arches that are supporting it, these sort of vaulted arches. On the outside, we've got these thin walls, and then we've got flying buttresses out here that are supporting those walls farther out. Okay, and that way you can have stained glass windows there. Okay, the 100 Years' War is a war between England and France, and it lasts over 100 years, off and on, off and on. It starts because the King of England feels he has the right to the throne of France, and it ends with a French victory inspired by Joan of Arc, who plays an important role in helping the French improve their morale and fight off the English. And the result is the English are expelled from France. Why is this important? A couple of reasons. The 100 Years' War is important and on here for a couple of reasons. A, first of all, we've got new military technology. The longbow is invented. The longbow allows for powerful arrows that will pierce the armor of our feudal knights. And so therefore, those old vassals, those knights and those other people, those knights and squires and other vassals, and that old medieval way of fighting will begin to decline, because new military technology means you just need strong arrow launchers that will be able to be on your side to defend you. Secondly, and that's of course used by England early on. The longbow is developed by England, and that allows England to win early, and so they dominate the early parts of the war. Second reason why the 100 Years' War is important is in order to fight a war off and on for 100 years, both monarchies in France and in England have to gather more support from their populations, collect more taxes from their populations, and therefore both monarchies are strengthening during this conflict. Both monarchies are increasing their strength in their countries. Okay, so then the final thing with the 100 Years' War, what is it? I wanted to mention that strengthening of monarchies. Yes.
The fact that I believe Britain loses Flanders, which was a major producer of wool, which means they would have to start looking for domestic ways of producing their.
Yeah, Britain, and this is very important. Britain is expelled from the continent. Okay, and so England will not be fighting. England will not try to rule land on the continent again for our course. England loses control over that region, Flanders in northern France, where there's a lot of wool production. And so England will now have to look elsewhere for more sources of raw materials. This will include improving wool production within England, and of course will inspire them to look elsewhere overseas for more production.
So that's how we go into
Yes. Right? England now is not going to be focused on continental Europe anymore, so their view will be looking elsewhere. And so it's not surprising. England and France both have to centralize during this conflict. Therefore, England and France will be two of the major countries that we'll be talking about for the rest of the course, because they'll begin centralizing, having stronger governments. And in the case of England, they're going to begin looking elsewhere because they will be evicted from the European continent. Yeah?
Did that contribute to British isolationism? Or
I mean, to some degree, which is, Britain is not concerned about winning territory in Europe, which helps them develop separate from Europe. And it helps Britain have that unique path of constitutionalism when the rest of Europe undergoes absolutism. It also allows England to focus on overseas exploits and colonization when much of the rest of Europe is focused on developing their land armies for protection. So there are important implications when we